Hello and welcome back to the Volunteer Income Tax Training Series. My name is Chris Moon. I am an Associate Teaching Professor at Iowa State University in the Ivy College of Business. This video will focus on refund or tax due and how to help the client with any amounts that they have that are due and how the client can get their refund. When you finish up the return, obviously we print the return and go over the return with the client before they sign it and before we file it. The taxpayer's total tax appears in the Other Taxes section of Form 1040. It's going to show the total payments that were already made, and that is going to include any refundable credits. If the payments made exceed the amount of that tax liability, the amount of the overpayment appears in the refund section of the 1040. And if the tax liability exceeds the total payment, the balance due appears in the amount you owe on the 1040. So we'll talk about how each of those will be handled. There is, if there's a refund, there is Form 8888, which is used to deposit a refund in up to 3 bank accounts. So if a client wanted part of it to go into a savings account and part to go into their checking account, they certainly could do that. Direct deposit is really the way that they need to handle their return this year. I am understanding that paper checks are phased out as of looks like September 30th of 2025. Paper checks are phased out. I know that I do have some clients who have not used bank accounts and they have requested paper check every single time they've come to my clinic, and they are going to have to do direct deposit this year because my understanding is that the IRS is not going to issue paper checks for refunds anymore at all. So if you have additional questions about refunds, tab K of your 4012 has additional information for you. But when you are filling out the end of the return and you are filling out the direct deposit information, you do have to enter the routing and account number twice. And you enter the routing number twice, then the account number twice. And I will tell you, it is very important that you double check these numbers with the client, that the client sees that the numbers are correct, because once you file that return, you cannot amend the bank numbers. So if the account number or the routing number is wrong, then it's going to be held I actually am not quite sure what will happen this year with no paper checks. In the past, sometimes they would have just issued a check to the client with the rule of no more paper checks. I don't know what will happen. So if the client is wondering where their refund is, if they don't get it as quickly as they expect, they can go to the Where's My Refund feature on the IRS website, and if they type in the information from their tax return, they can figure out the processing status of their return. All right, if client has an amount owed, they can pay for that a number of ways. We can print out a payment voucher with the return for the client, and they can send a check or money order with the payment voucher. They can do an electronic funds withdrawal. We try to encourage clients to do that if they have that ability. They can use a credit card on the IRS website to pay for the tax owed. They can do electronic federal tax payment system. They can do IRS direct pay. They can do cash at a retail partner or pay by their phone or mobile device. If the taxpayer does not have the ability to pay the entire amount that's owed, we still need to go ahead and file the return. They have the ability to pay that within 120 days with no fee. There would be interest, but no fee. Or they can go online and create an installment agreement request. If they need longer than 120 days to get that amount paid, they will have to pay a fee and obviously interest if they do that installment agreement. If a taxpayer has $1,000 or more in tax, they are going to probably have to make estimated payments the next year unless their tax situation is changing. They also are going to have a tax penalty in all likelihood for owing over $1,000. There is a form that the taxpayer can fill out to calculate an estimated tax penalty, Form 2210. It's out of scope for VITA, so we should not worry about filling out that form. For our clients, we should leave Form 38 blank. That is the estimated tax penalty, and the IRS will send out a notice to the taxpayer. If the taxpayer has an explanation, they can then provide that to the IRS as to why they had such a large balance due. If you do have a client that has a large balance due, we usually encourage them to amend their withholding and increase their withholding amounts. You can also, depending on, like for example, if it is a self-employed taxpayer, you can print out the Form 1040-ES for them and encourage them to make the quarterly estimated payments to decrease the amount that will be due the following tax year. Taxpayers may choose to authorize another person to discuss their tax return with the IRS by filling out the very bottom of their tax return with the person's name, phone number, and personal identification number. I do not do that at my clinic. I do not agree to be a third-party designee. And so if they want someone else to be filled out as that third party, they definitely can do that. Avoiding errors, again, the direct deposit information is so important because that cannot be changed later. It says double and triple check. I usually triple check it. I have the tax preparer check it twice, and then I check it at least once when I'm doing the quality review of the return and make sure that that number is correct. And we still have some that end up being incorrect once in a while. We do a fair amount of returns. So it's going to happen, but on that one, do your best to double and triple check it, especially this year with the issue of no checks being issued by the IRS. All right, so hopefully this answers questions about how refunds are going to be paid. This says receive refund by check, but you know after hearing this part of the lecture that that is not true this year, and how the client can handle if they have an amount due and helping them amend their W-4 if they need to increase their withholding for the next year, or helping them make estimated payments. All right, so hopefully this helps you with those topics, and thank you for your attention.